Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an emergency live podcast episode, Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe. Cantu is right there on the other side. Episode 235. Going to title it Ryan Presley traded Bregman in play question mark. Obviously, the last time we talked to y'all, Ryan Presley wasn't in the rumors, but then obviously during that time we started talking about it and we mentioned it on our social media. So if you kept up with that, we've been on that. Bregman might be in play. Obviously, both of us were in attendance for FanFest. We got the scoop right there. So if you're new to us, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy all the content that we put out from FanFest. If you haven't done so, we have all the videos from all the interviews that we've done with the players and coaches and GMs at Astros FanFest. You can find that on our YouTube channel under 2025 Astros FanFest. But before we get started, Angel, what did you take away when we're out there at Astros FanFest as one of the medias? What did you take away throughout that whole time? You can go with the Ryan Presley news, the Alex Bregman news, Jose Altuve, which we'll get here in just a second. I mean, give us your biggest takeaway coming out FanFest.
Yeah, I think overall they just want to win, and I think they just want to put the best team that they can on the field. Uh, all the Astros, most of the Astros players were asked about the new additions of Isaac Perez and Christian Walker, and they love the additions. It makes the team better, uh, man, but the fact that everybody wants Bregman to come back from the players that were talked to, like they all mentioned that he's a big key to this team. That playing with Bregman makes this team better. So they just want to win. Danner Brown saying that the door is cracked, it's a long shot, be Bregman back, just kind of gives a players like Jose Altuve, Jerry Pena hope. And the fact that Jose Altuve, being the guy that he is willing to move positions just to accommodate Alex Bregman tells you a lot about his character and about this team and about the leader of this team, because that's Jose Altuve, right? So just if Jose Altuve is willing to take that step, then it could also lead to other players, falling in that lead, because Jerry Pena was also asked if Jose Altuve was not to move, which infielder would move, and he's like, I can, basically saying that, Jerry Pena was saying I can play the outfield too. So the fact that their leader in Jose Altuve is willing to put himself out there, be vocal that Alex Bregman is a good guy, the guy that they need, and kind of put, lead by example and saying that if anything needs to happen, you can lean on me. I think that just speaks volume for this team, and that kind of spreads throughout the clubhouse too, kind of like around the team. So I think vibes were good though. Everything was good. I think the Astros just want to win.
Yeah, vibes were immaculate, I would say. And like you were saying, I think the one word that you could come out of FanFest as one of the media members is like this team is still continuing to wanting to win. I mean, 8 consecutive years going to the postseason. They went 7 straight ALCSs until the Detroit Tigers this past season and the AL wild card. But Jose Altuve saying that, just like you were mentioning, it just shows that he's continuing to do what he can to continue to have this ball club at a winning standpoint, and just wants Alex Bregman back. I mean, when they got knocked out of the playoffs that last game, and he said in the clubhouse himself, he's like, I don't want to think about the part of Alex Bregman not wearing the Astros uniform again, that he felt optimistic that they were going to get him. Well, in the beginning, it didn't look so good because Bregman was looking at $200 million. He even said he'd move to second base and all that type of stuff. But then kind of December winter meetings come along, nothing really happened. And we are in January 26th on a Sunday night, and Alex Bregman is still yet to have signed. I think him and Pete Alonso are the 2 biggest free agents out there, as spring training is about probably under 3 weeks at this moment. So coming out of FanFest, like you were saying, winning mentality from all the players. Another guy that I'm very excited to see is Christian Walker. We got to talk to Tony Perez Chica as well, the new Astros third base coach. He's excited to work with the infield that's coming up with Isak, Jeremy, and Christian Walker. He described Christian Walker as a leader as well. So you already seen one leader be vocalized over there during the media. Just imagine the other leader and Christian Walker to see what he brings to the clubhouse. And it's just going to be an exciting time if you're an Astros fan, seeing that this team still is capable of winning, even though they only have Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez as their star little power, I would say.
Yeah, and I kind of got mixed feelings with the Astros about if they're done shopping around, if they're still open for a free agent. Because I guess the big focus was playing with what they have right now
Mhm.
and not focus on a new addition or key role. So I think they're ready to roll, with the guys they have. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if either a re-signing or another free agent signs with the Astros, especially and we'll talk about this more in depth, especially with the move they just made today. I think that opens the door for not just Bregman, but for another free agent that could probably come.
Yeah, I mean, that's why this title, Brian Presley traded, Bregman in play. There's a possibility that Alex Bregman could be re-signing with the Astros after this move to Ryan Presley. But we do got it all covered right here. Ryan Presley is traded with our objectives. Does this open the door for Alex Bregman to return? Astros Fan Fest, it was a success out there. Seeing all the fans getting some autographed baseballs. We saw a bunch of fans on the field throwing with their kids or their nephews or their grandsons or granddaughters, anything like that. It was looking really fun out there. And of course, we got Around the Horn. AJ, you want to let them know before we get started where they could find us on social, hit that subscribe button, all that type of good stuff.
Absolutely. We've gained some subscribers since the social media posts. You can find us on YouTube, there, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify podcasts as well. We're on X, as you can tell, and TikTok as well, and Instagram as well. All the social media is full steam ahead, except Instagram, which FSA full steam ahead. But you can find us there. Just look up full steam ahead, and we're there with the top notch Astros coverage.
Yes, sir. Drop a comment in the comment section if you want to be a part of the audience. We're going to talk about this trade. What do you think of the trade so far? Ryan Presley going to the Cubs. They're receiving a young prospect that's not in the top 30, but the kid does look like some promise. We got some highlights here in a little bit. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Then you won't miss any of the player interviews coming this season. But let's get it started. Angel, Ryan Presley. I mean, he's been with the Astros for 7 years, great years in an Astros uniform, one of the biggest pillars in that bullpen for Houston throughout their whole time going to the postseason. Per Jeff Passan, he had reported the Chicago Cubs are finalizing a trade to acquire closer Ryan Presley from the Houston Astros. Pending medical review. Hasn't been official yet that he's gone to the Cubs, but it's pending that medical, that physical that he has to take. Sources tell ESPN. Presley will waive his no trade clause to Chicago to facilitate the move, and Houston will send money to help cover his $14 million salary. Bob Nightingale had tweeted out just a little bit earlier ago that the Cubs will pay $8.5 million of the $14 million owed to Presley. If I'm not mistaken, that might be Houston, actually. Looking at that right now. But how would you kind of see this trade? And Astros sending some money, including Presley in that contract. Astros receiving a young prospect, Juan Bello, like I said, not in the top 30, but he's still young, 20 years old. A lot of good things. We're going to talk about him in a second. But overall, what do you think of the trade, and what would you grade it as if it was, from a scale from being an A+ to an F-?
Just to confirm, the Cubs will be paying $8.5 million.
Oh, okay, that's on my end then. That's my fault.
Yeah, so Cubs will be doing that. But to me, if I were to rate it 7 out of 10, I'm sorry, 0 out of 10. I'm gonna rate it a 7. Just because I like the fact that they shed some payroll a little bit, so it gives them kind of the flexibility of of making more moves, sending a a little better free agent there. But just like the Kyle Tucker trade, I know they got a great bundle back. It kind of leaves a hole out there in the outfield. I think they're betting that Josh Hader has a repeat season because he did good. They're betting that Brian Abreu continues to pitch the way he has pitched. And now that 7-inning guy, I know Tyler Scott had a great season. We don't know how he's going to be there, but you're kind of betting that Rafael Montero, who you're paying all that money to, can finally live up to that contract. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's why they were able to, make this move, because you still have Rafael Montero out there. You could argue, both relievers have a big contract, but Ryan Presley has a bigger trade value than Rafael Montero. So they're going to have to roll with what they got there. But, I like the trade. They got a great young pitcher there. Free payroll flexibility a little bit more there. But it's just you got to bet on that as you can see, that bullpen's a big piece because they were pitched a lot a year ago, especially with those starting pitching injuries. So you just gotta put your chips on the table and hope that bullpen lives up to how they're expected to pitch.
Yeah, if the Astros could get Rafael Montero back in 2022, then you're best believing that he's going to be in the 7. Brian Abreu will go back to a setup role in the 8th, and then obviously Josh Hader would be closing the games for Houston. Of course, they did get Miguel Castro on a minor league contract, but of course that's not guaranteed if he's going to make the majors or anything like that. He's been injured, specifically more on last season, so the talents there is just if he's going to stay healthy, and plus command and mechanical issues, that's another part of his game. But yeah, even talking about real quick on the Kyle Tucker trade. I mean, they've asked, and we'll shout out Brian McTaggart, Chandler Rome, Alice Spillane, Luis Ortiz, Ari Alexander. All those guys were out there doing the media, and they were asking questions as well. So just want to give them their flowers of asking some of these questions. But Kyle Tucker was being another topic to the players. Jake Myers, I mean, that one really hurt him. That was one of his best friends, best buddies, he would say, of course, playing in the outfield with Tuck. Jerry Payne is another one that said that one really hurt as well. But it's kind of like Yordan Alvarez.
Altuve,
go ahead.
Altuve was shocked about the trade too, is what I want to add.
Yeah. So, like, even Yordan Alvarez too. Jeff Bristol from KHOU 11 had an interview with Yordan Alvarez when they were at St. Arnold Brewery during that Astros caravan. And kind of Alvarez is like, well, you know, it's kind of like we know what's happening. That's the business part of it. It's just like you're already used to seeing players kind of stay here for just that 1 year, 2 year after their contract ends, and then they go. So they're kind of adapting to it. But I think the Kyle Tucker one, more than anything, I would say kind of just felt like Altuve had mentioned, just pretty shocked.
Yeah, I think that one really kind of broke. I'm not gonna say broke the clubhouse, but really kind of stirred some conversation on the clubhouse. Like, you know, this is a guy, but again, with that trade, did the Astros get better? Yes, and at the end of the day, that's really all that matters, because it would have been like the Yankees not, you know, trading for Juan Soto and then not signing him back, right? You know, it's just, you know, something like that. So the Astros know that they might not get him back, so might as well get a return for them. And that's, you know, that's just part of the business part.
Yeah, I think everybody, like, just specifically talking about the players, I think the players just hate the business part because of the relationships they build with some of these guys like Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman getting drafted the same year, possibly them two not playing on the same team. You know, Alex Bregman might be back in the Astros uniform. We don't know yet. But the business part is the ugly side of it. I don't know if you saw a interview that Mookie Betts did with All the Smoke podcast. They had asked him about his tenure in Boston, and he said, believe it or not, I still watch some Red Sox games, and, you know, I still cheer for him, and he likes Alex Cora still. So, I mean, and then them guys could still be cheering for Houston no matter what, but at the end of the day, it's a business. They got to do what's best, you know, not just for their baseball careers, but their families as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of this Alex Bregman, you know, saga is, I'm sure he really wants to be back in Houston. I'm sure Houston's home for him, but at the end of the day, he wants to set up his family, you know, for a long time to come, and that's just he's trying to get out his chips.
Yeah, before FanFest, and Chandler Rome had spoke on this on Foul Territory TV, that it was the Cubs, the Tigers, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the Astros, the 5 teams that are still in the Alex Bregman sweepstakes. After this trade, I just feel like Houston has a bigger and better shot. I know we're getting a little too head on the Alex Bregman conversation, but we will get that here in a second. But Ryan Presley, man, I mean, his tenure with the Astros, I would say I'm pretty in the kind of close category of saying he was the best closer for the Astros, but obviously Billy Wagner winning that Hall of Fame, you know, getting elected to the Hall of Fame. I don't know. It's kind of a close 1-2 second. There's also Dave Smith in the 80s for the Astros. But Ryan Presley, 7-year career with Houston, man. I mean, it's remarkable. 6.4 WAR, 281 ERA, 411 strikeouts, and 311 innings pitched. It's insane. 151 ERA plus, 263 FIP, and the strikeout per 9 innings, man, 11.9. And it just gets even better. That's a video from the postseason, the ALDS against the Twins. That's the ALCS against the Rangers. 34 innings in the postseason. one of the best closers in postseason MLB history. 34 innings, a 0.79 ERA, 14 saves, 14 of 14. He didn't blow one save. He's fifth among relievers in postseason history. He's only allowed 3 earned runs. If I can remember that, 3 earned runs came from last postseason against the Tigers. Not 100% sure, but that's what I'm banking at. And a 0.794 whip. You got to remember, this guy is a Texan. He's from the Fort Worth area, but his wife, Kat, is a Houstonian. A lot of great memories here in Houston. Remember, he got traded in 2018 from the Twins to Houston. And this is one of those guys it's going to sting not having the bullpen for the Astros. Of course, at the end of the day, the Astros have to do what's best for their franchise. But Ryan Presley's tenure in Houston, I mean, you can't compare it to any other reliever, I would say, in franchise history.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Azza was saying, especially where it says 14 saves, fifth among relievers in postseason history. Here are the 4 closers that are above Ryan Presley. Obviously, Hall of Famer Mariano Rivera will be number 1 at that with 42 saves. Next, you have Kenley Jansen with 20 saves. Brad Lidge with 18 saves. Dennis Eckersley with 15 saves, and that's it. After that is Ryan Presley on that list. So that's a great company to be in. Mm-hmm. Brad Lidge, former Astros, on the list too. But Dennis Eckersley, Hall of Famer. Mariano Rivera, Hall of Famer there. So
be interested to talk about that too. Kenley Jansen is a Hall of Famer, which I think he is, honestly.
You think so?
I think so. He's already passed over 400 saves. I think he passed Billy Wagner's saves as well. Billy had 422, if I'm not mistaken. Jansen has 425, 426. He's around that range. I want to bank on.
Okay. Yeah. I guess we got to look at the numbers then.
But Brad Lidge, I mean, most of the saves did come in Houston, but at the same time too, won a World Series with the Phillies.
Yeah. Great company to be a part of.
If you are Ryan Presley, what is your favorite memory? And I'm gonna just name 2 that
you gotta ask him.
I mean, yeah, but if I'm just saying, if you are him, what would you rather prefer? Would you rather close the game of a World Series or have being in that combined no-hitter against the Phillies in the World Series? Which one would you rather have for your Presley?
I would say getting the final out of the World Series. Because at the end of the day, that's what you play for, if you're a Major League player.
Honestly, on the ends on both of them, man. Shit, you're making history as the second no-hitter in World Series Fall Classic history. But I do agree with you. I think just getting that last out, if you remember too, if you could look back on the videos of him just pointing into the sky, the interviews too, talking about his dad. I mean, there's a guy that's humble and just does whatever it takes to do just what's best for the team. And if I can remember too, he had a scoreless innings streak. I don't know if it was in the 30s or the 50s. I don't have it right in front of me. But he did have a scoreless inning streak in Houston that passed a MLB record, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Okay. Now, before we move on to any other topic, basically, the Cubs and the Astros have been really great trade partners this offseason, for Tucker and Presley. They missed out the playoffs last year. They have Craig Counsell as their manager going to the second year with the team. Did the Cubs do enough to clinch the division and maybe make some noise in the playoffs?
I believe so. I think they're just missing some bullpen pieces, I would say. I think that's the only thing they're missing. They got a good young player in Pete Crow Armstrong. You got Ian Happ, Dansby Swanson. You throw Kyle Tucker in that mix as well. Seiya Suzuki. They got a really decent squad over there. Pitching as well. Jameson Taillon's still there. Shota Imanaga still there. Jordan Wicks.
Steele.
Justin Steele. I mean, they got a good, solid rotation. I just think if they can bolster their bullpen with some, good arms, then I honestly think they just blow right past the division, and I could see them as a divisional round potential championship series, team.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting division this year. I know the Milwaukee Brewers are coming off that, but I think it could be the Reds kind of remind me of like a young athletics team where they can have the ability to make so much noise there. I feel it's be a two-team race between Milwaukee and the Cubs. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Pirates was led by Paul Skeens and the rest, battle for that top spot.
I think it's going to be 3 teams if I had to choose as of right now. I think Cincinnati, like you were saying, they got Terry Francona, and Francona knows baseball. So he got a young squad over there. They're going to get Matt McClain back in their infield. Ali De La Cruz being one of their best. Hunter Green. I mean, they got a good young squad over there. Same really goes for Milwaukee. I think the only big thing Milwaukee has lost, besides Bob Uecker, and that was very unfortunate, is Devin Williams.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I think they're still pretty good shape. I think I agree with you. It's just going to be between Milwaukee and Chicago in that division.
Yeah, but again, like we said, don't be surprised if the Reds, creep up the Pirates too. But it'll be a fun division to kind of keep tabs on.
Yeah, we'll have to see on that. But moving still on to this Ryan Pressly talk. Josh Hader on the potential of Ryan Pressly traded during FanFest. There was a question about that. He said, quote, "It would be a huge loss for us. What Pressly brings for us on the field and in the clubhouse. He's a big part of our bullpen. You can count on him 100% of the time." I do have to ask you this. Do you think that 3-headed monster of Brian Abreu in the 7th, Ryan Pressly in the 8th, and Josh Hader in the 9th, they look good on paper, but just during that season overall, I mean, what would you take away just having them 3 guys lining up just like that? You think that was better, or going into this season, this might be beneficial for like guys like Abreu and Hader?
No, I feel like whenever you can have that support, it's helpful. So the 3-headed monster was great because maybe when you come out off the bullpen, some nights you're just elite, and then sometimes you just can't figure it out on the mound. So having that safety blanket, well, if I can't get these 3 outs, if I get 2, well, they're basically saying, well, I know I got an elite guy that can come back and get after me and help me out there. So I mean that kind of does affect the Astros, but something as I was looking at the roster and I was thinking as we were talking is Luis Garcia, that's McCullers, are not expected to be back by opening day, right?
No.
However, Christian Javier still, middle of the year. Maybe this move opens up the ability for one of those 3 guys, or even Ronald Blanco, to depending how he's doing, to move to the bullpen. So essentially, they get rid of Brian Pressly, which is part of that 3-headed monster, like you were saying. But you could potentially add a starter who could eat up some minutes in the bullpen, kind of take over Ryan Pressly's role. So I think it's just kind of having to balance that out, just creating some space. So I mean, it was a good move because they, again, like I said earlier, they got money to pay for a free agent. They got a good prospect out of it, but it's just who's gonna take over that Ryan Pressly role. Someone's gonna have to step up.
Well, I think Brian Abreu is going to take over that Ryan Pressly. So,
yeah.
But I do agree. I mean, of course, McCullers is going to be coming back from injury. He won't be opening day ready. Same goes for Luis Garcia, like you were mentioning with Javier. As goes with JP France, he won't be ready maybe till half when the All-Star break, either before or after. But I'm looking at guys, if it's not going to be outside of the free agent market, then you got internal candidates that could possibly, make a way in spring training. You got guys like Colton Gordon. Another guy that Dana Brown spoke highly about in the offseason was Ryan Gusto. So those are some guys. Yes, they are minor leaguers, but you never know what they can possess. Just think about Taylor Scott. Yes, he had major league experience, but they weren't the best. Comes into last season, look what he did. You go to Luis Garcia as well in 2020. Of course, there wasn't a crowd because of the pandemic, but he was one of those key factors in the Astros rotation to that 2020 ALCS run, trying to make another run to the World Series. So if they don't look for outside candidates for the free agent market, then I think they're pretty set up really well with the internal guys that you can go into the minor league with.
Yeah, and like you said too, they still have Miguel Castro, another guy, Brian King, Caleb Ward. Like those are guys that Nick Hernandez too. Are guys that touched the major league mound last year, can probably help the team eat some innings out too.
Yeah, but now speaking of, we're talking about relievers and everything. Per Ari Alexander, everybody was trying to figure out that prospect, and Ari had it. Astros received right-handed pitcher Juan Bello. not related to Brian Bale. So don't get that stuck in your head. But like I mentioned before, he's not a top 30 candidate. Of course, a lot of people on social were trying to figure out what this prospect would be. Is it going to be a top 15, a top 30, a top 20? What is it going to be? Well, it's none of the above. They didn't get a top 30 prospect, but I think they got a kid that has a lot of promise. I think he does. Colombian, 20 years old, will turn 21 this April. So he still has a lot to develop through the farm system. Of course, the Astros resume, bringing up these arms and doing really well developing these players. But this is coming from an article from Fangraphs. It says, quote, Bale's pitch mix is plenty deep to warrant the starter development path, and he can be expected to add a few ticks, more velocity on his fastballs as his frame matures. Bayo has feel for pounding the zone with his heaters, but the same can be said for his secondary offerings. His curveball will routinely showcase plus depth, but he leans heavily on chase because of his inability to land it in the zone with a frequency of 39% in zone 2024. Bayo also has a slider and changeup, with the slider also flashing solid teeth at times, while his changeup relies on late subtle depth to be effective. As the case with his curveball, he depends on hitters expanding their zones, as he is unable to land his slider, which is 47% in the zone, and his changeup is about 32% in the zone on a regular basis. Bale has enough projectability and existing stuff to be forecast in a depth starter role, but he'll need to harness his secondaries in the zone more often to consistently get more advanced hitters out and turn over a lineup. Looking at the videos of this kid throw, man, I mean, electric fastball, like I had mentioned before, and honestly has a good sweeper. It looks like a slider and a curveball mixed together, but obviously has a slider and a curveball. It has great movement. Of course, I think the biggest for him, of course, he's still young. It's going to be the command issues. If you could get his command down, I don't think he'll have any problem reaching, I'd even say AAA before the season ends.
It's a bold prediction.
It's a very bold and hot take, but I think I could stick with that because if you look at the movement right now, I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. 91 to 93 miles per hour is his fastball velocity. I mean, the RPMs is pretty high on his off speed. And like right there, for instance, right there reminds me of a little bit of Nestor Cortez and
Johnny Cueto.
Yeah. Trying to, like, you see right there, got a little second pause. So the balance and mobility is there for him. Like I said, very young kid, going to be barely turning 21 this April. This is a guy that could have a bright future in this Astros organization. Of course, Framber Valdez is going to be a free agent next year. By the time he's finished, Christian Javier would be about 2 or 3 years. The uncertainty with Hunter Brown, if he's going to, get a contract extension with the Astros, because he did hire Scott Boras this offseason to represent him. A lot of moving factors, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of thinking of ahead. But as of right now, looking at these highlights, he looks like he has a strong future as he develops.
Absolutely. And the thing about the Astros is they love prospects with potential, like prospects that they have great stuff, might need a little mechanical issue here and there, or might just need, a little tweak here and there, so they can definitely get it out. And like Lorenzo said, he thinks by the end of this year, he'll be in AAA. I would say give him 2-3 years. That's it. What the Astros are doing with this move is just resetting that minor league farm system there, because again, it was ranked 30th. Now with the addition of Cam Smith, it's around the mid 19. I think that's the number I saw. So they're just rebolstering that. Could be a potential trade piece later. Could be a factor for the team in a few years too. So can go anywhere. But I think this is a great addition. Has great stuff, and only time will tell.
Yeah, and you're mentioning, I mean, just think about the guys that have came up through the organization. And we've talked about it maybe 2 episodes ago. Christian Javier, Framber Valdez, Jose Urquidy, Luis Garcia. I mean, the list goes on and on, of course, too. Even, MLB veterans like Charlie Morton, Garrett Cole. I mean, the Astros have done it. They've done it. They have a great resume of it. So anything is possible, I would say, getting this kid. Like I said, I think he has a really bright future. Astroworth Craig on the chat. He'll probably be top 30 in the Astros farm system. I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I was trying to look up that information out, but the MLB app wasn't really working. So I guess we can update you that once that happens.
Yeah. So like I said, changeup is really good. Curveball, slider. I think at his age, I would think it's probably going to be command and the consistency of throughout the game how it rolls. So bright future, and you got to remember too, Dana Brown used to be a VP of scouting, so that kind of like helps you as a general manager just see what you're trying to go out there and trade for, and the prospects that the other team is offering.
Absolutely.
But moving on, since this Ryan Presley had traded and stuff like that, Angel did mention that it does free up a little bit of the payroll. By doing that, it does open it by 5.5 million. And the original deal for Alex Bregman, that 6-year to 156 million, is still on the table. It is still there. China Rome had reported about that. But Dana Brown, during the Fan Fest, was asked about Alex Bregman, and this is a quote from him. He said, "If we get Bregman back, you're increasing the payroll, and there's not many guys as we can shed payroll with. So we are going with what we have. As I said, the door is cracked. It's a long shot. It's interesting that he's still out there and available. We will never close the door on any free agent, particularly when it can make the team better. So we're treating him like we will treat any other free agent."
There's some clues there.
Go ahead. You set the clues.
The thing with Dana Brown is he'll hint at something, but he's not gonna give up his ace.
Yeah.
Ace up the sleeve real quickly. He said there's not that many guys you can shed payroll with. Well, and again, that was yesterday during Fan Fest. Today they traded Ryan Presley, a guy who they shedded payroll with. Now, I'm not saying this 100% secure as Alex Bregman. They could be looking at other things because right now the idea that is coming up is that this infield's full. You got Isaac Paredes at third, Pena short, Altuve at second, and Christian Walker at third. Dana Brown said, first. Yeah. Dana Brown said that if Alex Bregman does come back, he will play third base.
Yes.
He will. That's set in stone. So that would the only option I see there is if the Astros are set that Alex Bregman's not going to play anywhere, just third base. Isaac Paredes moves to second.
Mm-hmm.
And then this stirs up the idea that Jose Altuve moves to the outfield. Now, I'm not sure how comfortable Joe Espada and Dana Brown, even Jim Crane, are comfortable with that idea of moving Jose Altuve to the outfield. It's been done before with Craig Biggio when Jeff Kent came, right? So it's done before. However, now that they shed some payroll, they could be looking at a big outfield lefty bat, or they can be looking at a bullpen piece or another starter, right? So there's other ways they can go, not necessarily with Alex Bregman, but like Dana Brown said, every free agent can be treated the same way, right? Every free agent, as long as it makes the team better, they are going to, be a part of that. Honestly, if this deal was done a little bit earlier, I think Santander would have been in the probably top priority there. Yeah, in the mix there. But we'll see. We'll see what happened. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. Like, it's just I don't see Altuve. I mean, at the same time too, if he said he's willing to do it, he's willing to do it. I'm not going to say that he's not. But Isaac Paredes is going to go second base, and like you mentioned, Dana Brown already had mentioned. He said, I don't think even Joe's going to put anybody else at third base besides Alex Bregman if the Astros do sign Breggy. But you're putting a 5'6", 5'5" guy in left who can play the Crawford boxes, I'm pretty sure. Of course, the transition from an infielder to an outfielder or even vice versa, it's kind of difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. Playing some infield and outfield at the same time is
from experience, yeah.
We're not talking about Sunday League now. We're not talking about Sunday League. But yeah, it's just a difference. I mean, because obviously you're fielding ground balls majority of the time in the infield, and the outfield you're catching line drives and you're playing different scenarios. Like of a lefty, the ball is obviously going to tail on you. It just plays a different part of the game compared from an infielder and an outfielder. So spring training is almost here. I'm not saying that's going to give Jose Altuve a lot of time to get used to the outfield if he does play outfield. But like you mentioned, if he got to play outfield, he's doing whatever it takes to sign Alex Bregman. And I was looking throughout Baseball Reference real quick to see how many games Isaac Paredes played at second base, because he did play some second base. He's played both corners of the infield and He actually played really both middle infield and shortstop and second. He played 7 games at short, but 67 games at second. He started 53 games at second base, and that goes back to 2023 with the Tampa Bay Rays. So Esau could still play second, and I don't think, to me, I don't think that's a problem still, because you got an infield coach that they just brought in that's helped guys like Ketel Marte, Christian Walker, Gabriel Moreno. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt, Nick Ahmed. The list goes on and on. He has a record of getting guys a Gold Glove finalists at least. Obviously, Christian Walker winning the Gold Glove award 3 consecutive seasons tells you about the capability that he has to change an infield defense. But long story short, putting Altuve in the outfield, it's kind of a neck scratcher for me. But I don't think, even if that would happen, I don't think the Astros were going to go after a guy like Santander. Maybe Jurickson Profar, maybe. But I don't think, too, if you looked at that AAV that the Braves had given him, I don't think the Astros would have done that.
Yeah. If they are going to take the Alex Bregman route, it would have to be soon, because it would, because Jose Altuve, if they go at Alex Bregman route, they're comfortable with moving Jose Altuve to the outfield. Jose Altuve would need all of spring training to get the reps in the outfield, in left field especially, right? So it's just, I feel like if Alex Bregman doesn't get signed with the Astros in the next week, I would say that in the week max, then that's not the route they're going, because that wouldn't give enough time for all the moving pieces to get accustomed to it, especially coming down to spring training, because that's the whole point of it, right? To get comfortable where you're going to be, that position. So I would say I'll give it a week. If a week no deal's done, they're looking at somewhere else and not Alex Bregman.
Yeah, we could play that video real quick of Jose Altuve addressing the media about Alex Bregman and possibly playing outfield.
When they come back, how have you been keeping up with that? Have you talked to Alex?
Yeah, we talked a few times, but not a lot about contracts. As a teammate, I want him back. I said it. He's a big part of our team, and he's definitely gonna make this team better if he stays. So we're really praying and hoping he stays.
There's some reports out there that if he does come back, you'd be willing to move off of second base to accommodate him. Is that something that you've talked to Joe about? Is that something you'd be willing to do, to move off of second base?
Yeah, we haven't talked about it, but for Alex, I do whatever. So like I said, he's one of the best players in the whole league, but he's definitely one of the best players in the team. So we want him to stay. So whatever I have to do for him to stay, I'm willing to do it.
Have you ever played outfield before?
What?
Have you ever played outfield before?
Have you seen me?
like when you were younger?
Would you be willing to play the outfield?
I've been willing to do everything if he stays, I want to win, and he's going to be a guy that's going to make this team better. So, we have a better chance to win a championship with him. So, like I said, that's my answer. I'm willing to do whatever for him to stay.
That honestly says a lot.
Can't confirm that Jose Altuve has never played outfield before.
Yes, Angel did ask that question to him if he's ever played outfield, and that's when he gave him that that answer back.
Yeah, I should have worded that a little different. I meant to say when he was in the playing in Venezuela or in the minors, but yeah.
But you could just see though too, just throughout that whole interview, he was very persistent of, I want Alex Bregman back. I've already said that after we got knocked out of the playoffs, and I'm going to just stay firm on that. I want him back, and I'm going to willing to do whatever it takes. And when your franchise player is saying that, it kind of, in my opinion, I think it just puts pressure on the front office.
Yeah.
It puts pressure on Dana Brown. It puts pressure really on Jim Crane.
And I feel like this doesn't come to, although, for example, when they asked Jim Crane about moving to Jose Altuve moving to the outfield, it was news to him as well. But it was like an initial shock, but then not a shock, not a surprise, because they know what kind of a player Jose Altuve is. He's willing to do anything to make the Astros better, right? So I think, like you said, he's willing to do everything. So again, if it happened, I wouldn't be surprised he's there, but it's gonna have to be quick because he's gonna need some adjustment periods, especially playing 14 years at second base over 2,079 games at second base, and then now moving to the outfield, it's kind of hard to recover from that.
Hey, if Craig Biggio could do it, if Lance Bergman could do it,
Yeah, I mean it's possible.
that's what I'm saying. There's a chance still. There's that possibility that you could still do it. Like you can't put that out of the question. I'm pretty sure maybe behind closed doors, we don't know. We're just speculating. Maybe they, Jose Altuve, they said like, hey, I could play outfield. If it's gonna take me to have Alex Bregman back on this team, I will play outfield if I have to. You could give Isaac Paredes my position, and I'll go learn to play outfield. But like you said, I mean, it's just going to take time. I don't think 2 months, a month and a half is going to give a lot of time for Altuve. Unless he's been doing it behind closed doors. Like we don't know if he's been doing that. But if he has, then maybe it does. But I just don't see it. But the defensive metrics, him at second base too, it's just really declined after his 2019 season. 73 percentile in 2019, according to StatCast. 2020, he had a 13 percentile with a -3 fielding run value. 2021 got a little better, 73, 3 fielding run value. And then like every year, it's kind of gone down. 2022, 57 with a 1 fielding run value. 2023, a -1 with a 44. And then last year was a -6, which I would say that's probably his worst fielding run value, 11th percentile. So there's kind of 2 ways you can see this. They obviously got a new infield coach with Perez Chica. Maybe he can figure, try to help Altuve out in that way, some way. I don't know. Or like we were talking about, maybe Altuve does plan to go to play in the outfield, specifically more in left field with the Crawford boxes.
Yeah. And like Lorenzo said, like I do want to, because I've not been emphasizing how speed trains be helpful. Like even with spring training, like Lorenzo was saying, it might take them months to get a feel for it. Like that's why it's important to get those reps early, because it's kind of hard opening day. You never played outfield, not even spring training. It's kind of hard to adjust there, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Before we move on to the Fan Fest, per Bob Nightingale of USA Today, in his article, he said, quote, the Astros, according to the 2 executives, reached out to Scott Boras, Bregman's agent, on Wednesday to determine if Bregman still had interest in returning. Bregman informed the Astros he still had strong interest in coming back, but needed a resolution quickly since he's already had teams willing to give him multi-year deals. And obviously that's what Bregman wants, is multi-year. I don't know if he's going to get the 7 or 8 year plus, but I'm pretty sure some teams had reached out to giving him a 5-year, maybe a 6-year type of deal. But Bregman too, I mean, on Wednesday, remember, Thursday, that's when this whole Ryan Presley stuff was coming out. So the Astros got the word real quick. Oh, Bregman's still out there. He has a strong interest in returning back to Houston. We're going to get on the ball. We're going to get him moving. We're going to do whatever it takes, to unload some of that payroll off from Ryan Presley's contract and focus on you. If they don't get Alex Bregman, would this be a disappointment for the team and kind of it was all for nothing?
Not necessarily, because at the end of the day, there's other needs you can do. I think, like I said, that outfield's already set. You can go get another outfielder, maybe a Verdugo, like or even someone that's still available that can kind of surpass him. So it wouldn't be a disappointment or a loss if they don't get Bregman, because there's other ways the Astros can improve.
Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't think it'd be no disappointment, nothing like that?
No. Maybe for the players, I'm sure in the clubhouse, just because how they speaking highly of Alex Bregman. But as an outside perspective, I think if they can get better, then it's a win for the Astros.
Okay. Yeah, I honestly think just at the end of this, conversation of, the conclusion for me for the Ryan Presley and the Alex Bregman in play still, you traded Ryan Presley away to open some cap space of that payroll. And I know a lot of Astro fans are like, okay, y'all did this move. Y'all got to go get Bregman. After seeing the Altuve video and looking at the quotes, okay, the full run has to be on Alex Bregman. My opinion, they got to go get him.
I guess
that's one of their leaders in that clubhouse from the get-go.
I gave him a week.
You give it a week? I honestly don't even give it a week. I'm going to give it less than a week. I'll give it 3 or 4, not even 3 to 4. I'll give it 2 or 3 days because, like I said, next week is already going to be February.
That's what I'm saying. They have to get it done. That's what I'm saying. They have to get it done in less than a week.
Yeah.
To get But we'll see. However, all this information, the videos that we're able to give to you, were part of Astros Fan Fest. So now we're working the media there. And like Lorenzo was saying, it was a successful event for the Astros. Astros Fan Fest is like the start to get, back to the baseball season, get the fans excited. It looked like there was an Astros game with how full it was, and just a commodity there. But it was a great time to see. There was 21,000 fans participate in autograph sessions, photo opportunities, games, fan forums, Q&As. A lot of fans were playing catch on the field as well and taking swings in the batting cages. And also, I did see a picture they posted of people throwing in a bullpen too. With I think JP France was in there. So, getting that arm
warmed up real quick.
And then another big factor, a guy that you could see if the Astros can't sign anybody else, is Alex Bregman play the outfield. So this is a guy that Lorenzo's been hitting on a lot. Alex Bregman actually played in the Puerto Rican Winter League, and he had a great experience there. He's getting those reps in because, again, the thing is, he's an infielder transitioning to an outfielder. So the important thing for him is reps. So in the Puerto Rican Winter League, the whole goal for him was to get out there and get reps in the outfield and just at bats. That's from the quote he says. With Perez Chica, which is the Astros third base coach, he's focusing on first building a foundation, like building a relationship with his players. That's one thing he was, that's one of his goals, and that's one thing that he's really fond upon because he wants to put that relationship so it can go on to like kind of coaching, get the in-front coaching there. His goal is to be more aggressive and to be smart. And that's one thing that Joe Espada harped on last year too. Like they're going to be more aggressive on the base pass. So it can see why this move made sense. One get the influence better, and they both have the same baseball mentality in that aspect too. So great overall. I think both Zach Zenzo and Perez Chico were excited to be, excited for the new season, excited for the new things to come.
Yeah, Zenzo, real quick. I mean, like we just mentioned, look with him. He went to the Winter League in Puerto Rico to play more left field, and he was going to play more left field, more at bats. I think that's going to be his best way of staying on this ball club.
Yeah.
Instead of going to the Space Cowboys, he has a better shot, honestly, being in the outfield. You saw the potential that he has with his bat. He does have a lot of power in that bat. So that's a guy that I'm really leaning towards being more involved this season in the outfield, I would say, because right now you got Jake Myers in center field, you got Chas McCormick in right. We're not going to put Altuve in left field. Well, we're going to say Yordan Alvarez at the moment, but you got Taylor Trammell too as well. He's going to be fine for a spot. Zach DeZenzo having a great Puerto Rican Winter League. If you haven't go see that stats, I encourage you to go to Baseball Reference and go check that out because he had a really great PRWL, as well as they won the Puerto Rican Winter League, if I'm not mistaken. Him and Bryce Matthews, correct?
I'm not sure.
I want to say so. And even Alex Centron was the GM of that team, the Senadores de San Juan. So I want to say they did win the whole thing. But besides DeZenzo, them two guys from FanFest really intrigued me because this is a infield that really didn't play really great last year, defensively wise. I mean, Jose Abreu not playing the whole season almost. Singleton being there as a plug-in, and I mean, give him credit. He did everything he could over there, scoops and all that good stuff. Jose Altuve, we already talked about his defensive metrics the past seasons. Jeremy Pena, 22 Gold Glover, had struggled a little bit over there at short, and then obviously Alex Bregman won his first Gold Glove. So having a new infield coach like that, that's I've already mentioned before, Goldie, Marte, Gold Glove finalists, and Gold Glove winners, says a lot. And then you got a guy, Christian Walker, at first base that can pick the ball really well. So I'm excited to see how this infield looks for Houston and including the base run. The Astros were aggressive last year, and it's kind of like you're falling back on Gary Pettis because Pettis too was aggressive. Now you got another guy that's super aggressive as well. He's just going to have to adjust to a bigger ballpark that he was over there at Chase Field to a smaller left field, really a smaller ballpark in Minute Maid Park.
Yeah. And then we have, before we move on, so give me one word of the Astros offseason.
I mean, I'd say improvement, honestly. I think they improved, even though they did trade away Kyle Tucker. I mean, they did get a prospect that is now their number one in their farm system. They got control of two players in Wisniewski and Isak Paredes. I think Paredes still has potential to. I mean, he got his first All-Star bid last year, and I think he still has the potential to be a above average defender. And then even getting this kid Juan Bello, I think honestly he has a bright future as well. Even though he's so young, the Astros player development department has done really well, and I think he has the potential to become I would say, a back end starter.
Yeah, I think this offseason kind of gave you the first glimpse of the way Dana Brown kind of wants to establish his team right now. You know, last year he got a team that was already built for him. Now he's kind of putting his own flavor to it, making some trades to rebolster that farm system. And now, at the end of the day, he's kind of doing both at the same time, putting a good team on the field while bolstering the farm system. That's kind of impressive in of itself there.
I would say this: Bleacher Report did rank their farm system, and I think Houston was 16, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it right in my face, but you remember back last season, it was like one of the worst or the second worst farm system in MLB. But the way they developed these players, I mean, shit, the Space Cowboys won the championship in AAA last season, and I think that left a lot of sour tastes in everybody's mouths, and with that team specifically. But the development department with Houston has been tremendous throughout each season. You just find out guys you didn't even know about that come and just bust their ass and just show everybody what they're capable of doing. One more thing, besides the farm system, Bleacher Report did put their top 10 power rankings heading into 2025. Seattle Mariners were 10. And I kind of had a head scratcher right there. I'm like, I don't know about that because honestly, they haven't
done anything.
Yeah. So can't believe everything you see on there now. I'm just gonna say it like that.
Yeah, I think if the Mariners were to better their offense, then I can see it. Because I mean, that pitching staff is great. That pitching staff is going to win them a lot of games. However, at the end of the day, they need to put runs on the board, and that was a big issue last year. So we'll see how it goes. I guess it'll be a fun division to watch. The AOS will be with Athletics kind of getting rejuvenated there.
Not the A's, the Angels making moves.
The Rangers could be playing the way I guess everybody expects them to play, and then I guess like you said, the Mariners as well. So a fun division to keep track of, a fun season to come. But moving on to Round the Horn, so we don't keep you here for more than an hour. The Mets get new uniforms. I don't know if you saw them. It's like the all blue one, little orange stripe on the sleeve. It kind of with a little cursive lettering kind of brings back those 1980s away uniforms they had back then. So they seem nice. I think if you saw the video, Francisco Lindor approves. He was all smiles as he was putting on the new jersey.
Well, that is his nickname, Mr. Smiles. So
yeah,
I mean,
and then the Nationals will also be bringing back their brick red uniforms. They've also are not going to, I don't know news, but they're not going to bring their City Connect uniforms back, but they will be bringing the bright red, so all red jersey with the W on the side. And then Ichiro, like we talked about last week, Ichiro is one vote away from being unanimous. Well, Ichiro would like to have lunch with the BBWA voter who didn't vote for him. I wonder how that lunch conversation might go, but that's what Ichiro's very adamant about that too.
I think Ichiro's going to bring some sake, and they're going to have a long talk. Going to knock him out like Yusei Kikuchi whenever he went to Yu Darvish's house.
Yeah, some sake bombs or something. But yeah,
bombs.
But yeah, I mean, a crazy story. So if you go to our skin, Carlos Pena tells a story about Ichiro in dinner, right? So Carlos Pena tells Ichiro, "Hey, we should get dinner one day." Months later, Ichiro gets that promise, and Carlos Pena and Ichiro both having dinner. Pena being, trying to, I guess, since Ichiro was older, Pena was trying to be a good host, and Carlos Pena pays for the bill. Ichiro's like, "No, I'm older than you. I'm gonna take." So he makes Carlos Pena get a refund back, and Ichiro then pays for the bill they had. So go check that story out for Carlos Pena there. on the Arskina YouTube page. And then lastly, there's I don't know if you're I know you're a huge collector though, but I don't know if you collect baseball cards. But there's a Paul Skeens 1/1 rookie card debut patch. An 11-year-old found it. The Pirates were
No, you can't find that. You pull it.
pulled it. Sorry, yeah, pulled it. The Pirates offered their two tickets, 2 season tickets for 30 years if the 11-year-old returned it, declined it, went to auction. I'm not sure how much he got out of it, but I'm sure it's a pretty penny there.
Dude, that was like the number 1 card.
Yeah.
Period. So
I'm not a real-
I would have done the same thing either. I would have declined it as well.
Yeah. I'm not a real big collector.
You don't know what the rate of season tickets behind home plate is right now, especially the way that they were playing. So it could be like, honestly, it could be 10,000, and we do the math right there. I mean, that's not enough.
Yeah.
That is not enough. Where do you think you'll reach though?
For sure, millions. Maybe what, 3, 4?
3,
3,
4,
4 million.
304.
3, 4 million?
So just 3 million, not 300 or 400 million.
Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah. So I don't know. I had the same thing. Do you really think an 11-year-old really pulled that card though too?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just going by what what the research said. Could have been a data.
You can't believe everything on the internet though too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going by what was said.
Well, we will never know, but that is the end of our show. If you missed any of the interviews, like that Jose Altuve one, we have all the interviews on a playlist on our YouTube page. It's under 2025 Astros Fan Fest. Besides Altuve, we got Pena, we got Yainer Diaz, we got Hunter Brown, Dana Brown talking about the whole things before the trade had happened and all that type of stuff. So make sure you go and check the videos out. Hit that subscribe button too. If you haven't done so, make sure you hit that like as well. But social media, Angel already mentioned it. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, FSA Full Steam Ahead. Of course, podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever y'all get y'all podcasts. But Angel, got anything else before we sign off?
No, just thanks for the comments. Thanks for the subscribers, likes, retweets. We appreciate y'all. Tune in next week for another FSA episode, and we appreciate our listeners out there.
Yeah, if anything happens, if let's say Alex Bregman does decide to re-sign with the Houston Astros, we will do another emergency live podcast just like this one with the Ryan Presley trade. So make sure you hit that notification, that bell with that subscribe button to our YouTube page. But that's it. Until then, we'll probably look into recording either Tuesday or Thursday. We'll let y'all know. Y'all have a great start to y'all week, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Peace.